this morning's topic. So the depths of honesty. It's a very beautiful topic. I hope it doesn't get too serious. It's something which I know Daddy Janki really majors on, and if you look at the meetings that the double foreigners have had with Baba over the years, Baba always highlights this one main quality of all the foreigners, that we're very honest. And so I think it's a very beautiful topic to experience and to think about. I'm just wondering, it's a very beautiful day, isn't it? Can I just check who would really like to be outside with an ice cream? And so it's good that you've chosen to be in here. Can I ask my spiritual friends to come on? Where's Nick? He'll be... Oh, there is Nick, okay. So I've told them that if I speak a little bit too much, they just give me a signal. Our very big brothers and sisters are in a regional coordinators meeting, so your sort of older brothers and sisters, but not very big brothers and sisters, have come to share with you. And they're all quite experienced. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and if I don't think they've shared enough, I'll ask them to say a few more. So,
Om Shanti. I'm Sister Halina, and I serve in Poland. I'm the national coordinator, and I've been with Baba for past 27 years. Is that enough? No.
Om Shanti. Good morning. I'm Moira from Argentina, and I had the great fortune to take my Brahmin birth here in Madhuban 20 years ago. And every time I come back to this magic place, I just renew this feeling of belonging. Daddy Janki for many years told me, when I used to leave Madhuban, always remember you're a Madhuban Nivasi, you're only going back to your service place. So it's just wonderful to be back again and again in my birthplace.
Om Shanti. I'm Brother Nick, originally from UK. Had the fortune of being early in the Yagya, or history of foreign service. Came in 1975 to Baba, and in the last 6 years especially I've been connected with Africa.
okay. What do you think honesty is? I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on it. Can I ask you just to get into... You can clump together in groups of 3 or 4 on one row, just turn round, and just for a couple of minutes, I'd like you to talk amongst yourselves about what you feel honesty is. Yeah? To you personally. Yeah? So you can be a little bit self-organizing. What is honesty to me? What's the importance of honesty in BK life? If you're not in a group, then you can just self-reflect.
Because some of this is to come forward and say, I must not forget. So,
No, it's okay. Should we ask? Would it be helpful just to get a few people to share? Or just, I think, it'd be quite useful.
In the next hour and a half.
No. No, I think just 3 or 4 people. Fine. Okay, just briefly. Yeah, because it's useful to you.
I'm thinking in terms of the time that I'm passing through. I know the definition of being honest, true identity, soul, and it's the original state. At this point, honesty for me is when I see clearly every day, at least every day, what I need to do and how to do it. That means I have reached some depth of
Five minutes enough? Yeah. Sorry?
that's the retrogressive
Yeah.
honesty.
Don't feel. I hope you don't feel like to be rude. I might ask you to put things in plain English if I haven't understood them for the benefit. Okay. Om Shanti. Okay, anyone, come on, honestly, anyone discussing the cricket scores? Yeah? Football? Okay. It would be really nice if a few of you would like to come and just share what was discussed, just in essence. Be nice if we had a little mix of languages and cultures. So who wants to go first, just to share the essence of what honesty means to you? Or do we have to do this? Yeah. There's a hand mic here, because I think it'll be easier for people to hear. Oh, okay. Good. You have, just click it. Put it on. Just your name and where you're from, and
Om
turn around
Shanti.
so they can see your lovely faces.
Om Shanti. My name is Sister Miriam from UK, and what we said was that honesty was to be very clear to the seniors about what's going on in ourselves. Then to feel not happy, not peaceful, and not close to our original principles, values, then this is not honesty, not to feel this. And also to live one's path, to be able to live according to one's own concept of what is life. That is not honesty. And to honesty also to admit one's mistakes to Baba. Om Shanti.
Nerve-wracking, huh? On my way here, I heard that we had a panel, and I said, you know, Baba, I would like to partake in that panel next time. And then when I see these senior brothers and sisters, and I'm like, who am I to sit up here? 7 years in Gyan. But anyway, the question rises, and here I am. I get to be part of this panel. Honesty, the first thing that was thrown out was to come clean. To feel that my heart is just completely clean with the feeling of liberation and the feeling of being very light. And then one of the brothers shared that honesty was in the form of Maya and also in the form of purity. And it was to identify it in its form of Maya, but also then identify within you that in its form of purity. Because in honesty there is purity. And in purity then there's love. And then in love there's always a remembrance of Baba. Because we are always seeking for the unlimited vibration of love. And the only place we can find that in an honest heart is in the remembrance of Baba. So honesty will allow us to claim that purity, so then we could have that love for Baba and also bring him into remembrance. So to go one step deeper than that, then we found that in that purity and honesty is, of course with remembrance, that there is the protection. That canopy of protection that looks like an umbrella on top of us. And we found also that when you have that umbrella on top of you, you're seated on the throne. And you're seated on Baba's golden throne, which is where you can claim that. So I hope that took it into some depth for each one of us.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
So I didn't catch your name?
My name is Alexander from America.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yes, come on. A little bit of exercise. So the next person can come up, and the next one after that, maybe we'll take 5. Anyone from foreign language would be nice. Russian with a translator. Someone from another country, that would also be nice.
Om Shanti. I'm Madhivanan from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, you're talking to your brothers and sisters. Thank you.
I'm Madhivanan from Sri Lanka. What we shared in our group, when we are honest, there won't be any fear within us. We'll feel very light and happiness. If the honest person, the conscience won't bite. If you're dishonest, our conscience will always bite because you have done something wrong, you did something. So there won't be waste thoughts. We always feel light. Om Shanti.
So you discussed the signs of honesty, okay.
Om Shanti. I am Vera from Russia, and by our discussion we got very important points that honesty we can put in the in the same line with truth, purity, and rightness. So, in Russian, for example, honesty and purity have the same root: чистота and честность. And only if our mind is pure, then we can be honest. But in many times, dishonesty comes from ignorance, because for the lack of closeness to the truth, to the true fount of honesty, to the Father. If we don't know true Father, we can't be truthful, we can't be rightful. That's why, to be honest, we need to be knowledgeful. Knowledge of truth, which we get from true Father, let us be honest. And beside of that, honesty is our choice. If we want to be open, and if we open our heart consciently, and it's our conscient choice, then we choose to be honest, and we make effort to be honest in all our practical life. And honesty is the criteria of our rightness. Truth, Baba, is criteria. And if we know that, we compare always our position, our choice with this point, and we easily can become honest. Honesty is our religion, and honesty is our culture of Brahmins. Om Shanti.
Thank you. So,
Om Shanti. I am Sister Mona from UK.
Mona, where are you originally from?
From Iran. Originally from Soul World.
And which country was your body born?
I'm sorry?
Where are you from originally?
Soul World.
The body?
Iran.
Iran.
What we discussed was that requirement for honesty is having no fear and courage. And it's usually come when you sit with Baba. It's so natural to be honest, because you are not afraid of being judged. You become fearless and courageous. And and requirement and honesty is the foundation for integrity. And also one of sisters mentioned that when you are honest, you are married to Baba, and when you are dishonest, you divorce Baba. That was nice.
Well, Amanda, I'm just representing Africa, just to share with you some
Can you
thoughts.
say a few words in African language? That would be lovely and better.
La vérité, l'honnêteté, c'est la vérité. Hein? truth, honesty is linked with truth. So we were discussing that, there are two basic truths, who we are and to whom we belong. So whenever we depart from this, we become dishonest. And how we cannot help the Brahmin family is that when we are not true to ourselves, to our identity, and we are pretentious, and that's created trouble. And to be honest is all the time be in the consciousness who we are, to whom we belong to. For example, we were sharing an example. Prince Andrew came to Mauritius recently. The way he was walking, talking, every movement of him, like he was telling people that who I am. And he never departed from that identity of being a prince. But we forget very often who we belong to, who we are, and then we lose our honesty.
Thank you.
Om Shanti. I'm Nimi from UK. To me, honesty is a virtue. It's a divine quality, and it depends on all the qualities of the soul. How much we keep it to ourselves is a little bit difficult, because people who are in the Brahmin family, because all of them know the qualities of the soul and they try to practice it. But when we live in a family, there it is a bit difficult because they don't use our language, neither they understand. Well, when you are honest, you are light, cheerful, secure, and courageous. But suppose a friend calls me and I can't come. But what reason? I cannot tell her the exact reason. If I tell her, she will feel I'm rude. So I'll make an excuse. Oh no, sorry, my brother is coming, I'm going to the airport to fetch him. So this type of, I don't know if it's a lie, but this also makes you so heavy. Because to face them is very difficult. If you tell them, no, I'm going to my BK class. Oh, they'll not accept you. So these are the, I would say, percentage we cannot use honesty, and that's why we are always heavy, because we are not 100% honest. And honesty is a base for purity and all the qualities of the soul. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it would be really nice to have heard from all of you, but I found that it's really quite richer in just a few minutes, and I guess we're just going to scratch the surface today, even though aim is to go into the depth. One of the things that I found particularly useful about these sessions, and I know it was very popular during the Peace of Mind retreat, is to translate the kind of theory into the practical, because we hear it from Daddy and we hear it from the Morley. But I'd be really interested to hear my friend's personal take on this. I know Helena, I can remember the time when she slung her young child over her shoulder to come to class. And I think I can remember the time when you decided that you had to go back to Polska, to Poland to serve. And I know, I worked as a children's dentist, and my regular nurse was from Poland, and so I had a fairly good insight into what the background was there, and so I know going back must have been quite challenging and required a lot of courage. So I'd be kind of interested to hear, what prompted you on that, and also what do you understand at this moment honesty to be for you, and maybe how it's kind of changed or evolved as you've moved along the path, Helena?
Since you've mentioned the beginning, my beginning of this journey towards full honesty and complete truth, when I came to know the BKs, I think the presence of seniors made me realize that I met truth. And that was, of course, 20-something years ago in Canada. When I heard knowledge, it was nice, it was okay, but it didn't create such a big impact. It did not answer all these many questions that I had. Why the world is so horrible, and why there is not honesty, why there is so many manipulations and so on. But when I saw for the first time Senior BKs, and that was Daddy Janki and Sister Janti giving a talk in Toronto, the emanation from them, they were the embodiments of truth for me. And not only that, but I saw for the first time in this life, someone can be so free, so powerful, happy, and at the same time, I've met many gurus and before, and I come from a very religious family background, Christian of course. These senior figures, they were not only emanating all these beautiful qualities, but what impressed me the most was they were inviting me, saying, you can also become like us. That was, I think, the main foundation of my decision to follow this path, which didn't mean that I decided, okay, I will try, I will experiment myself, and I'll find out whether this path works. And that was for about a year. And honesty, now, I can only share my recent efforts because that's more real and actual here in Madhuban this time. I think at this moment, honesty for me is, do I hear Baba every day, talking personally to me and giving me signals, guiding me as what I should do today? Because I know from my experience that many times I might think, I'm fine, I'm okay, but I'm really not. But when I am able to actually hear Baba speak to me, and the best time is, of course, Amrit Vela time, then I know I'm quite all right. Another thing is, I know my honesty is quite all right if every day I will know what work I need to do in terms of myself, my progress, what I need to remove, what I need to add, and I also know the method how to do it. Then that means I'm clear, I'm okay.
Moira, do you want to chip in?
When I started on this spiritual journey, as I said, it was here in Madhuban after I took the course, actually 2 lessons of the course, and the 3rd day I came to Murli. Seeing myself those days, I was in very funny locket clothes, it just seems funny. And so someone said, you must meet Daddy Janki. I didn't know who she was. Nobody had the chance to tell me what they thought she was or what she meant to them. So after breakfast I was taken to Daddy's veranda in Indraprasth. And she was sitting there and she asked me questions. She asked me about my background, she asked me about my family, about work, why I was traveling, I was on a world tour. She asked me so many questions. And my feeling right then was like, I looked at her and I said to myself, I can trust this little woman forever. And at that moment, I realized I was in front of someone who embodied the mother's love. And so I told her my story, I told her everything, and she kept asking me so many questions. It's as if she scanned through my life. And then she said to me, if there is anything you haven't told Daddy, and you remember about that, then go to Baba's room and tell Baba, and your past will be finished forever. Wow. And it did happen. I did remember something very important from which I had taken a lot of pain in my past. So I went to Baba's room and I shared that. And also Daddy told me within that conversation, because I was on my way to Nepal, and so she said, well, what are you going to do next? And I said, whatever you tell me, because my journey is finished at the Madhuban gate. So she said, I'll send you a plan, which she didn't send, and then the story went on. But at that moment, I realized that I had started a new game, a game where I had nothing to hide and that I could trust. And for a while on my spiritual journey, I understood that being honest was all about telling Daddy about my weaknesses and my long list of defects and mistakes. I used to write all these Ramayana letters to her and tell her, speak to her about just negative things about myself. And I thought that being honest, I always felt that I was very honest with seniors and with Sister Mohini and with Ken, who are my regional people, and just let them know where I'm at, what's happening. But now I feel that to be honest is not about them, it's about me. It's about just being myself. And it's about accepting what Baba sees in me and living to the level of that vision, which, as one of you shared before, takes a lot of courage, because it obviously entitles a lot of letting go and also becoming what Baba hopes, what are his hopes in me. And so now I feel that, like my sharing with Daddy or even with Sister Mohini, is more about my achievements, it's more about what I am discovering about myself. Once I just went to Sister Mohini, we were in a retreat and she sent us, it was a day of silence, and very different to what we normally experience here, that we have a very structured day of silence. We have to come and sit for so many hours here, there. And we were just given a little task. It was not little, it was big in the morning, and we were told, we'll meet you in the evening. So it was quite a challenge. And Sister Mohini had given a beautiful class telling us to get out of the mind, out of the intellect, and observe from the pure being. And it took me a while to be able to do this, but when I did this, I found that I was very innocent. It was so sweet, so sweet. But for a moment I resisted. I thought, I'm not innocent. And then I went and told her, Sister Mohini, you know, I'm completely innocent. And so she said, that is true. So I thought this was a sort of openness that I wanted to share with her at that moment. And yes, it's recognizing our mistakes, as one of you also shared, but it's also about sharing who we really are, just being ourselves.
Honesty to me means not being affected by what I'm observing or being honest about. So I feel that honesty means being outside of the drama and observing whatever has to be observed. If I'm in the drama and I observe my weaknesses, I can be drawn down into the bog of depression. It pulls you, and if I observe my strengths, I can easily have a little bit of euphoria riding on the crest of ego. And so how do you deal with that? You have to step outside of the drama completely, be above it, observe it as though you're watching something else or someone else down below. If I'm not affected by what I'm seeing, then I believe I can have an honest viewpoint of it, or honest opinion of it. And I used to hold on to honesty with fanatical strength or tenacity. Hold on to honesty, and I've seen it in others too, that if we don't see many virtues in ourselves, we see just one thing we can hold on to is honesty. And therefore we hold on to it like a drowning person holds on to the least piece of straw floating in the ocean. So honesty can become a hurdle. Strangely enough, it can become, we can use a knife in the wrong way, just as we can use honesty in the wrong way too. How often we say, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm useless. Or I'm going to be honest, Daddy, you know, I'm no good at this. My yoga's terrible. I've got no dharna. I can't remember the muli points. Can't wake up in the morning, and even if I do, I fall asleep. I'm very honest, Daddy. So, and okay, the first time is honesty, but the second time or the third time is actually dishonesty. Because what is our lesson? How do we learn Raj Yoga? What do we do in our first lesson of the course? We learned to say, Om Shanti, I am a peaceful soul. For however old we were when we came in Gyan, maybe 20, 30 years or whatever, for 30 years I was peaceless, and now I say, I'm a peaceful soul. Isn't that dishonest? But actually this is Baba's yukti, is the method. Consider myself to be a peaceful, pure soul. That's what he says. And that's what we do, isn't it? I think everyone does that. That's how you practice meditation. And so, isn't that a bit contradictory, to be honest and say, I'm a pure, peaceful soul? When we know we're at the end of the cycle, there's no one, Baba says, no one's pure in the end of the cycle. In the Golden Age, everyone's pure, but not at the end of the cycle. In the Iron Age, so how can I say it? Yeah, Baba, this is how we teach the course, how we learned. And Baba's saying, in every muli, Baba's doing two things in the muli. One thing is telling us, you're all corrupt, monkeys, scorpion. Huh?
You all tell lies.
You all tell lies. You're liars. It tells us such things to boost our self-esteem, such as you're useless, you are Buddhas. And on the other hand, child, you are out of multi-millions, you are just that handful of elevated souls. So, which is honesty. And so if we stand outside of the drama and look at it, I'm not just that soul who plays a part for 50 years, 20, however old I am in this body, 50, 60 years, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I'm not that soul. I'm not that person who's at the end of the cycle. I'm the whole span from beginning to end. And in particular, since when we come down, that's our natural state. Natural means what I am. Therefore, if I am to be honest about who I am that one at the beginning of the cycle, that pure, sweet, divine, elevated deity, flower of the golden age. This is the lesson that the daddies have been paying attention to all their life, and that's why they are where they are. To me, that's honesty, recognizing who I am over the whole cycle.
How does that sound so far? Being honest? We had a little conversation before we came in, and I'm interested to, because to me this seems, if I'm being honest, there seems to be possibly an area here which needs looking at. On the one hand, I'm hearing from the panel and also from you that I've got to be open and just sort of get stuff out, and that's something that I did when I came to Baba. We used to just write in Baba's room at the end of the day and send all our stuff to Daddy, and so on the one level you're getting stuff out, and then I'm hearing Nick say, and it's true what he says. Baba says just, I am a pure, peaceful soul. And yet, I don't know about you, but I found there was quite deep things in myself which I wasn't really aware of, that wasn't accepting what Baba was saying, even though I don't think I had doubts in Baba. But, do you find that, like there's a few people inside there, so you say, I'm a pure, peaceful soul, and the little voice comes and says, you weren't so peaceful yesterday when you and so I'm just wondering how we work with that. Is honesty admitting my weaknesses, or is honesty acknowledging my greatness? And then was the integration or the connection between the two? Because if I'm being very open, I've seen people on the path of knowledge for some time, and then it seems they're okay, but sometimes we push things down. We sort of suppress things. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, Helena, you were talking a little bit about how you listen to Baba in Amrit Vela. And now I'm being a bit naughty because I know you've met Baba quite a few times personally when we had our personal meetings. And I know Genti said it's dangerous talking to Brahmins, but you did kind of say that you weren't sure whether you, at that point, totally accepted what Baba is saying to you. Now, I had that issue myself. So how can I become something if there's something that's stopping me accepting it? And I mean, what do you do with that? Am I clear? Does that sound clear?
I think that what you're saying is, I personally feel there are two forces working at the same time in me. And of course, everyone comes from a different background, different environment, different culture, which does have an effect for some time, even on the spiritual path. I remember when I first met Baba, I knew I was meeting God, that I knew for sure, but then what do I say to him? Or deep inside, I don't know, maybe it was my Christian upbringing, I was hoping that he will tell me what I'm doing wrong, and maybe he'll praise me a little bit. Because I was doing for about a year or two honest effort, real honest effort. But I was looking at him as the Dharamraj mainly. And when I stood in front of Baba, I was so surprised what he said to me that I did not understand at all what he said to me, because his first words to me were, "Child, what song are you singing?" And he said it with such a beautiful, loving voice. How could he be a Dharamraj? So Didi Sudesh had to repeat to me the question 2 times. And then I didn't know what song I was singing. So Baba answered for me. He said, "You're singing a song of happiness, that you found Baba this cycle, like you've met him all the cycles before, and you'll keep meeting him." That was it. And I still didn't understand what he really said to me. But when we talk about honesty, especially for us Brahmins in Confluence Age, it's a process. It's a constant process. And I know from my experience that there can come a point of time where you, for different reasons, you stop being honest. You think that you are being honest, maybe because you get praised, maybe because you do a lot of service, maybe different reasons, but you stop being honest and you don't know it yourself. After a while you'll get signs from outside, from other people, from teachers, from seniors. Still you will not accept. But fortunately, on this path, and this is the only path where without honesty you cannot go forward. There's just no way. And you cannot have any progress. And of course Daddy Janki says very strong things, but I like them very much because they shake me when she says, "Every time you think you're okay, you're wrong." Means nothing is happening with you. There's no change happening. So, of course, I am being honest. I do not believe when Baba says to me, "You're pure, peaceful, you're beautiful." It's difficult for me to accept that. But at the same time, there is another force working which is even more powerful than what Baba says, and it is my original purity and honesty. And that keeps me moving forward, no matter what happens. And that makes me want to come to Madhuban twice a year, or if I had the choice, I would stay here for a long time. Because I know that only in active efforts, my latest desire is to live in a retreat place where I'd be forced to have a good stage almost every day. Because you have to take care of the factors around you. You might as well be living easy Brahmin life, going to Murli, meditating, getting up. That doesn't mean that anything is happening to you. So as much as possible, if you have a lot of things around you that not even help you, but even force you, I think that's a very good thing.
Nick, are we allowed to have desires on this path? Is that okay?
Brother Jagdish said, "You can't do without desires." So, well, even to have an ice cream is a desire, or even to have a glass of water is desire. I guess that's English interpretation of the word desire. It's quite a light one, I think, and talking about when our daddies talk, actually, they shortcut things, and there was a very interesting incident. It's a little deviation, but we have to see that there's a lot more behind the words than we normally think of them. I think being brought up in a scientific society, we tend to look at words as absolute. So let's look at one incident that occurred at a teacher's retreat, a European teacher's retreat, many years back. And Daddy was talking about not having feelings. You mustn't have feelings. What do you think? Would you raise your hand if you think she's right? We mustn't have feelings. She said, and Jentiben was translating, she said quite a few times, you mustn't have feelings. Mustn't have feelings. I tell you, there was a bit of agitation occurring.
She also says you have.
No, let me finish. No, let me finish. Don't worry. There's more to it than you think there. There's more to it. So there was a bit of a commotion, or Jamela started to brew up like a storm.
Jamela, in English?
What does it mean in English? Chaos. A little chaos was beginning to brew, to arise in the gathering. Daddy, what do you mean we mustn't have feelings? You have feelings, Daddy. You feel love, you feel intoxicated, you feel enthusiastic. And still, Daddy said, you mustn't have feelings. And I think one sister almost left the yagya over this point. But then another sister who, from an Indian background and English, both English and Indian background, came up to the front and said, hold on. In India, when they use the word feeling, they mean bad feelings. Bad feelings. Oh, is that what Daddy means? Bad feelings. Okay. So we have to look a little bit behind all these words that are used. And you said, don't think. Okay, that's another one. Don't think. It used to be, don't think too much, and then it became, don't think at all. We must be progressing. I think that's why we got stronger instructions. So, again, it's not literal. We can't do without thinking. In fact, we use thinking as a tool for progress, for personal development. It's an essential tool. But when she means don't think, means, well, don't think, don't worry about it, don't get into a stress about it. And that's another aspect about honesty. What's the effect of my being honest at that moment? Like, I have a choice to think, oh, Baba says, you are such an elevated soul. And Baba tells me personally, you are such an elevated soul. I have a choice at that moment. Baba, you say that to everyone. Or, yes, I am. Because Baba's telling me, yes, I am. Those two choices, I don't know if there's a third one. But what's the effect of the two choices? I think there's another choice just now. And what would be the effect of the two choices? Whatever you identify with, it pulls you in that direction. So if I identify what I've thought of myself to be the past 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 years, then I'll be pulled in that direction. And if I accept Baba, it's like having faith in Baba, absolute faith in Baba. and say, yes, I'm that elevated being, it begins to pull one's life in that direction. And I think until that clicks, until we have that thought regularly, frequently, in fact, every second, there's not going to be the progress that we feel comfortable with or feel satisfied with. Satisfaction does come out of pulling the life regularly in the direction that we want to go. So Baba says, you're an elevated soul, I have to accept it if I want to go in that direction.
Moira, is there anything you want to add to this?
Back to the question about how can I become what I don't accept. I was thinking, first time I met Bab Dada, he told me I was a jewel of contentment, and it was like a big surprise because I was not going through very happy moments, and I did go through very turbulent waters during my Brahman journey, and I kept thinking, how can I be a jewel of contentment? And I realized I was after something that I was not, and my inner talk was, I have to be this, I have to be this, and it was a time that I thought it was good to become like Sister Genti. She's been an idol for me, and I can understand Sharona when she says what she means to her, but we don't need to become like Sister Genti, we don't need to become like anybody else but myself. So I realized that as much as we admire someone, we will take sorrow from whoever we are looking at. And it's not that Sister Genti gave me sorrow, but I would become deceived from an unfulfilled vision of myself, because I am not Sister Genti, of course. And so I feel that now what Baba said to me 20 years ago, you are a jewel of contentment, I am becoming that. And I realize that there's this deep interest, and not because Daddy said it in the morning class, not because of any other reason, but because I want it, and this is the pure wanting. Wanting to be free, wanting to be myself, free to choose, free to think, free to do, free from the vices, and this I shared the other day in Madhuban, this deep desire of dying alive is here now in these days in Madhuban. I realize how much I've been attached to the personality, to my name, to my reputation, to my success, to whatever came from my ego. And this deep desire is driving, because it's a pure and honest intention. And when there is the seed of honest intention, then the thoughts that come are very powerful. And the feelings, yes, David, very powerful feelings. No, it was you who was saying about not having feelings. And it just feels so good. It feels in tune. And I realize that this acceptance of what Baba sees in me is a reality, because I feel happy, I feel content with what I'm doing. And when I realize that when I'm purpose-driven, if I want to become that, then there's a natural focus, and all my priorities fall in place. And I can tell you very honestly from my heart, Daddy Janki always pulled my ears coming to Madhuban, like, don't lose time and don't be distracted, don't be dispersed here, there, a lot of interaction. And on one hand I feel this is Madhuban, this is the land of friends and family, and this is the global family, and it's such a strong feeling I've always had of belonging to this diverse family, and just a wonderful feeling of being together here. Yet we have to keep balance, because meeting Brahmins, whether it's new or old, our old friends, and sharing can distract us a lot. So we have to be very careful how much we share and if it's necessary or not. And I realized that when there's a very clear interest in becoming and fulfilling my desire and Baba's hope in me, there's like a natural focus that allows me to be very essential and also to use my time here in Madhuban in a very precious way. I think it's the first time, this is my 26th visit, and it's the first time I feel really contented with what I'm achieving day to day. And Daddy Janki said in our teacher's class, it's not satisfaction, it's just intoxication. It's not that you're happy with your efforts. And I was checking this and I thought, yes, there is intoxication, but I also, I'm appreciating what I'm doing, and I'm happy letting go, and I can hear the voice of not self-criticism, which was what I would have called in the past, being honest with myself, talking to myself about the things that I do wrong, but being able to accept and observing my own mistakes, observing even the weaknesses without being hurt. And I feel that this is a very not taking pain from my own checking. And another thing is, checking has been part of the homework that Baba has given us for this year, and I've never been the one to follow it like a chart, like this, percentages and all these things. But checking, I take it from the questions Baba is asking us in the Murli, like I have to renew my checking every day, because if I for a month ask myself the same question, I would only do it. I wouldn't even do it a month, I would just do it 3 days and then I'd get bored. So no checking, no chart. But I find that these, even this morning listening to Daddy Janki, I said to myself, her words are like music to my ears. And she pulled my ears the other day and said, don't just enjoy, imbibe, So, yes, it has to go deep into the soul. But I feel that I'm so eager for those questions that challenge me, and that when Baba says, ask your heart, this is when he's really calling to our being very, very honest with myself. Don't please myself. Get out of every comfort zone of your own thinking, of your own feelings, of your own attitude or your own interaction with people, and move on. And I really feel that this is only possible when we give ourselves time in solitude and special moments of silence, in which I can really listen to myself, what I want, what I need, and take care of it.
I'd just like to share something that from many years ago, which I found helpful with this thing of acceptance, because like my friends here, Baba said very lovely things to me, like, you are the one who is ever happy. And at that time, I was actually quite depressed. And he kept on saying it, and I thought, God, if he says it again, I'll scream. And each year he'd say this, and deep inside, I felt it was kind of there, but I wasn't feeling it because of a little bit of overthinking. But I realized in retrospect that actually I think I'm fairly happy now. So he kind of did know. But I found it difficult just, I mean, the way Nick works with things is, I found that very interesting to hear how he works with things. I found it actually a little bit difficult to do that because someone came back from Madhuban and I'd watched them, I'd been with them, and for about 95% of the time they were very happy. And then they had the herbal medicine really worked, and they had an excellent dose of Maya. And when they came back, I was there in front of one of the seniors, and they said, it was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, I didn't experience anything, it was awful. And I thought, gosh, I'd been with them, and that wasn't the case. And it was very difficult for them to accept what Baba said. And I was speaking to the senior, who was Sister Sudesh, and I said, well, how do you work around that? And what she said I found really helpful. She said, okay, Baba says something, and he says it in the Morley, but he said, okay, just accept that as if it's true. But then you don't become that just by accepting it. Then you have to do the work, which is what Daddy was saying this morning about churning. So you have to churn what it means to be the jewel of contentment, or what it means to be equal to Baba. And then you have to practice it. And then you'll become it. And sometimes I feel, when Daddy speaks, it's like she goes from here to there. It's like saying to a young child, because I was a kid's dentist, rinse your mouth round. And they go, because they don't understand. So then you have to break it down into about 10 different instructions so they actually catch it, because there's actually a method. Sit up, can you see the glass? Yes, see the glass. Can you pick it up, put it to your mouth, rinse it around, don't spit out. There's a lot of steps in there, and I think sometimes, even I find when we're talking, because we've been through the journey, we miss out the steps. So I think it's very useful for us to think about the how-tos. I'm just wondering, is there anything that you'd like to ask at this point? Or I'm just aware we've only got about 10 minutes, yeah? So if you can just be sort of essenceful and clear, come. Yes, come, sister.
Shanti, could you please talk about when your desire to be diplomatic and merciful to someone else just starts to border on dishonesty? Can you talk about that?
Always see the results, and this is called continuous assessment. Sometimes Baba calls it feeling the pulse. Continually assess the effect of your words or attitude, and that will indicate whether your approach is valid, useful or not. I think if you have the motive right inside the self, no problem. And that will guide how you talk or approach someone. And that's part of our lesson on law of karma, because sukharma, this karma, the action that gives happiness or profit, is based on virtues. And if there's a vice behind it, a bad feeling, some negativity behind it, it'll produce vikarma. So just check the motive behind it.
once someone asked Daddy something, and Daddy said, "Do you really want to know what I think? Or should I just say something?" And then she told us that very few souls go to her really wanting to know what she thinks. Sometimes we may be going to Daddy just wanting her to know what I think. And then whatever she tells me will be good enough or encouraging, but maybe she doesn't tell us exactly what we would need to hear. But again, I think it's Daddy taking our pulse and seeing how much we can take. And something very interesting, once speaking to Sister Mohini, she told me, some things I will tell you, some things I would like you to pick from signals, and some things I will tell you through vibrations. So sometimes, if the words are like diplomatic and, but maybe a lot more is said at the level of thought or good wishes. And again, it'll depend on the situation, if you're talking to a Brahmin soul or a contact soul, but I think you're asking about a Brahmin, right? So, I think these days we have, and we learn a lot from each other in our interaction, like maybe we're learning or taking a form of advice from people that we're just looking at, we're just walking past, and there's a message there. Unspoken words that if someone put it in words, maybe I would feel, maybe I wouldn't accept it, but I'm learning from examples. This is why this Madhuban is called the land of mirrors, because I can see whatever I need to learn in a very beautiful way.
I think I would only add one thing, because actually I think no one has mentioned it. There was a talk about honesty and purity, honesty and truth. But I think also very important value in our journey towards complete honesty is also humility. And from my own experience, I can share that the longer you are in Gyan, of course, you're becoming knowledgeable because God is teaching you. So you do know so much, you do have a lot of Gyan, you do have a lot of knowledge and wisdom. And yet, when I look at the seniors, and Brahma Baba as an example, he never said, not even once, Daddy tells us, I say this, I say this. He always said Baba, Baba and Baba. And in my experience of acquiring depth of honesty is a very good yukti. We tend to think, okay, I know already, I've done so much and it worked out and it was a success, so I know. But does Baba agree with me? And most of the times, he thinks in a different way. It's not that I am wrong, but drama is constantly moving and we're moving forward at every second. And situations change, and no two situations are the same. So whatever was right a minute ago, a second ago, I have to be really open and listen to Baba and work on soul consciousness, because answer next second will be something completely new. And I think that is a good yukti for constant progress and going deeper and deeper into honesty. Whatever I think, that's fine, but does Baba agree?
Yeah, and also it can change. I can remember once, Daddy said, why are you doing that? And I said, well, we had a discussion a couple of months back and you kind of suggested that. And she said, well, that was 3 months ago. You sort of, Buddhu, things have changed. She said, why didn't you come and give me some fresh information? So that's, I guess what we're saying is like context, isn't it? The other thing is like Mama wouldn't answer unless there was benefit in that answer. And so this thing of intention's really important. And Daddy Kumaka gave this example when she was giving a talk about the power of truth in London. And she gave this example that you see the cow come this way and it goes that way. And a minute or so later, the butcher comes with the knife and he says to you, "Did you see the cow, which way the cow went?" And she goes, "No." Okay. Anyone else would like to comment or ask anything, and then we'll just give our panelists
just
one last thing if they want to comment.
It's such a present life, this Brahmin life, when you can observe your faults totally detached, and B, identify with the original stage of the soul, the one when we came down, right at the beginning of the cycle. It becomes extremely pleasant.
David, I was thinking that we will talk about honesty or dishonesty as long as there is the contrast between soul consciousness and body consciousness. Because when we become just soul conscious constantly, we don't need to be honest, we just are so ever pure, loving and true. So it'll just flow.
I think we already mentioned what are the signs that I'm being honest. Maybe we could discuss this a little bit. How do we know that we are being honest? Absolutely sure that I'm being honest at this point of time. For me is when I'm really peaceful. Of course, Moira was saying, sometimes you are happy, and you think you are truly happy, but it's not based on honesty. It's not based on the real thing. When I'm content, and it's a deep contentment, true happiness, means I'm doing the right kind of efforts, then I think I'm being, at this point of time, honest. Because of course, as we progress, our level of honesty and our level of efforts constantly change.
I'm just remembering something that Sister Genti said about when she was asked, does she feel the need to give Gyan, knowledge, when she's speaking, because it was at that time when they were speaking at the UN and places where it's not always appropriate to give straight knowledge. And in fact, one of the BKs said, don't you feel you're being dishonest by not sharing Gyan directly with the audience? And very interesting response from Sister Genti. She said, no, I don't feel I'm being dishonest. I feel our role is to connect others with their own truth, however they see that, and then connect them to the truth of God if that's in the equation. And of course, we do that by being stable in our own truth. And I felt that was, in a sense, it's like a manifestation of honesty, and it's come up from the discussions. It's like being just being your true self. And just expressing that, I guess. Okay, I'm looking at the clock, and the clock's running away, so I guess we should finish by 12:30. The audience looks quite peaceful. Yeah, some of them may be very peaceful, some of them. If you've got any more thoughts or things you'd like to share, please come and tell us, because I personally found this very stimulating, and I want to thank our friends, our panelists, for sharing so openly. And I don't know if any of you were taking notes and things, but it might be nice if anyone felt inspired, they want to jot down a few notes, because I'm sure Daddy would be very interested to know some of the things that came up. So thank you for staying with us, and we'll just finish with a minute's quiet.